I thought I'd throw an extra video in for you today because Michael has asked me some questions, and now seems like a great time to answer them right here. So I'll give you, well, one question at a time. Let's take it one step at a time. So first question from Michael. I have a pair of second-hand Crockett & Jones black cap-toe Oxfords, which I like wearing. But on rainy days when the roads are wet, the leather soles soak up water from the ground and I get wet feet from underneath. How does one waterproof old leather shoes? They don't actually look to be too worn at all. Okay, so one of the problems about leather soled shoes, I know, and for that very reason, I mean, I'm going to digress a little here, but for that very reason, in recent years, I have definitely much preferred rubber soled shoes opposed to leather, right? When I was a younger fellow, I have to admit, I really did favour leather soled shoes because I always saw leather soled shoes as being that little step up into a world of quality, which you didn't generally see so much on my journey up anyway. I didn't have a lot of money to spend, and for me a leather soled shoe was a sign that this was a better made pair of shoes. Typically a leather soled shoe will be Goodyear welted or hand welted or Blake stitched. So yeah, I was absolutely right. Leather soles do tend to be a step up from rubber soled. And for many years, I exclusively wore leather soled shoes. But in so doing, it meant I had to put up with the downsides to leather soled shoes. The two big ones are obviously water ingress. So leather, it is permeable by water. It will allow water to soak through. And if you find yourself standing in the wet for a long enough period of time, it will soak through the leather. I mean, it'll take a lot, mind, to get through the leather because there's a cork bed in there as well. But yeah, it does happen. You can get waterlogged and it can come through to your feet. The other downside to leather soled shoes for me is the very poor traction which you get when you're walking around on a wet day. Now, only this week I bought a new pair of leather soled semi-brogues from Trickers a couple of weeks ago. I was in London this past week. I wore those shoes for the first time around London, so the leather soles were really brand new, right? There was no wear at all underneath. Now when the leather sole gets a little bit worn, it does give you a bit of traction, but these shoes were slick, brand new. It rained when I was up in London, and I gotta say, I had to be very, I had to pussyfoot my way down the street because I could easily have gone up on my backside, you know, because very little traction, particularly if you've got slick pavements, as you often get in cities. You know, it's easy to lose your footing and to slide because there's no grip. You don't have the tread pattern underneath. But it's a juxtaposition, isn't it? I really love the look of a leather soled shoe because of its sleekness and its elegance, but I don't love the lack of traction or its waterproof capabilities. For me these days, I typically buy shoes which have a day-night sole, if I have the option. Now, day-night, for the uninitiated, is that sort of rubber sole, which is quite low profile, it's quite slim fitting, but it has a series of dimples or sort of nipples underneath, which they do give you quite good traction. It's obviously impermeable to water as well, because it's a rubber composite, so you really do get the best of both worlds. Excuse me. But not all shoes are actually made with day-night as an option. So if you do have a leather soled shoe, what you can do is you can treat them. Now I forget the name of it. If I find it, I'll pop an image of it up on the screen here. But Saphir, the French shoe care product company, they make a sort of a liquid product which you can cover the sole of your shoe with. You can sort of sponge it on or paint it on, whatever you do. And it does provide a bit of a waterproofing barrier. Now, I've never tried it. Right? I don't know how good it is, but I have heard that it is worth applying if this is something which you do a lot. You know, walk around with a leather soled shoe in a wet condition. For me personally, right, I'm lucky or unlucky, depends how you look at it. I have acquired something of a large shoe collection over the years. So if I know it's going to be a wet day, I'll wear a pair of my shoes which has a day-night sole, a rubber sole. If I think it's going to be a dry day, I'll wear a leather soled shoe. If it's a very formal event, I'll always go for the leather sole, because leather sole is, for me, the ultimate in elegance and formality. So, you know, you pick your choices, but you can try the leather proofing. I don't know how good it is. I don't know how often you would have to reapply it for it to work, because clearly, whatever you paint on there, you know, you're going to be walking around on it, so it's going to wear off fairly quickly. But it might be worth a try if this is an issue. Alternatively, of course, you can go to your cobbler and you can ask your local cobbler, shoemaker, to apply a rubber pad, a rubber sort of sole to the underneath of your leather sole, right? So this is a secondary option. You know, they typically glue them on, cement them on, and it kind of gives you a halfway house. Now, I'm going to be honest, I don't love those. I've always thought to myself, right, you either have a leather sole or you have a rubber sole. I really don't like to see leather soles that have had a rubber patch, you know, rubber sole overstuck on them. It just doesn't sing out elegance to me personally. But if it's an old pair of shoes and you don't want to go through the expense of, you know, any of the things we've talked about, that might be the cheapest option to extend the life of those shoes and make them more impermeable to the water. Another alternative is many of the shoe brands actually, when you send the shoes away for refurbishment, so I'll tell you, I recently had a pair of boots made by Loke. I sent them into the factory for refurbishment. They had a leather sole on them. When I sent them in, I asked if they would replace that leather sole with a day-night sole when they refurbished it, and they did that. So it is possible, if you're having it done by the factory or a very good shoemaker, to have a leather soled shoe converted into a rubber soled shoe. But again, that's a more expensive option. Cost me £125. But I mean, the boots were being refurbished anyway, so it was a good job. Lots of options to think of there. I'm going to guess in your area, you know, on your sort of particular issue, either the application of the waterproofing to the sole will be the option, or maybe the rubber oversole at a local cobbler's would be the best bet for you to go down. So that's that question. Second question. I have a red tie with poppies on it, which I would like to wear in November for obvious reasons. But its bright strawberry-like colour makes it difficult to integrate into an outfit. What would you wear with such a tie? Well, probably by the time you watch this video, we're somewhere between Remembrance Sunday and actual Remembrance and, you know, Armistice Day here in the UK, where the wearing of poppies is obviously our national acknowledgement for of Remembrance period. I rather like, I'd say I don't like novelty ties, but ties like this which have strong cultural relevance, right? You're wearing poppies. You could wear a tie, a strawberry, you know, I often wear burgundy colour ties. I know there's burgundy in the tie I'm wearing now. This is the Nirvana club tie, which I'm sure you'll recognise. But, you know, these strong colours, I think when you're wearing a strong item, right, be it a pocket square, be it a tie, be it a shirt, be it a jacket, whatever you're wearing, make sure it's the only signature item that you're wearing in that outfit. Now, the problem would be if you wore that poppy coloured or poppy covered tie, but with a very strong coloured blazer, or you know, a very profoundly cheerful shirt, right? Everything's competing with each other. You've got too much going on. It's a distraction to the eye. If you're going to wear a very loud and ebullient tie, wear something which is somewhat innocuous with it. A white shirt, a light blue shirt. Maybe if you're wearing a jacket, something in a very simple block colour, navy, grey, brown, like I'm wearing now. Something which is not going to compete with the tie when it comes for visual authority. Because if you've got too much going on, you're going to look as if you've overloaded your outfit with colour and pattern or texture. So pare it all down if you're wearing something spectacular. You know, you could even omit a pocket square, right? Just wear the tie. Don't have things which are competitive on the eye. And that way it'll be more palatable when you see people. And of course, wearing a poppy at this time of year in the UK or other Commonwealth countries is going to be a sign of great respect. So, you know, hats off to you for that. I hope that was something that was helpful for you, Michael. And thank you for sending the questions in. I would encourage you all, if you have a question for me, however big, however small, however sartorial or philosophical, throw it in. I'll give it a stab. I'm always good to try. So, until the next time we meet, my dear friends, take care, and I'll see you soon.